Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be taking a Dark World deck profile. Now this deck was my #1 rated deck profile on my channel for the longest time before it was overcome by Galaxy Eyes Felgrand and Blue Eyes White Dragon. I still think it's in my top 3 most viewed deck profiles on my channel, at least in the top 5, at like 19,000 views. So this deck is pretty famous on my channel. So before we get into this guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell down there so you can become a part of the notification squad, and we'll get straight on into it. So, for you guys who don't have dangers, we're going to be playing the pure version of this. We're pretty pure version without dangers. The deck is really good on its own without them. It's really good with them, but it's also pretty good without them. So we're going to play it without them today, just for a little bit more of a budget build, because I think Bigfoots are like $35 each, and right there, that's $105 for 3 Bigfoots. Nessies are like $30 each or something like that at the time of this recording, so it's really expensive. So first off, we're going to play 3 copies of Grapha, Dragon Lord of the Dark World. The effect of Grapha is you can special summon it from your graveyard by returning 1 face-up Dark Lord monster from your field to your hand, and then you can only special summon it once per turn. These cards are really worded really oddly, so I'm just going to paraphrase it. So if he's discarded to the graveyard by your effect, you get to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. And if he's discarded by the effect of an opponent's card effect, you can look at one random card in your opponent's hand, and then if it was a monster, you can special summon it to your side of the field, which is really, really good. But Grapha's like the big beat stick of the deck. Like, this is Grapha beatdown. Then we play 2 Lucent, Netherlord of the Dark World. If he's discarded to the graveyard by your card effect, you can special summon him. And if he was discarded to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, which we have Dark World Brainwashing to make it so it counts as your opponent's card effect, so that's when we play him. If he's discarded to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon a Fiend-type monster from your deck to either side of the field, which is really cool. Usually you're going to summon out your Grapha to your side of the field, so. Then we play 2 copies of Gold. Yes, I have them in Gold Rare because they are gold. I know, just dorky as heck, I know. So anyways, if this card is discarded to the graveyard by your effect, you get to special summon him if this card is discarded to your graveyard by your effect, you get to special summon him. If he's discarded to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you get to target up to 2 cards your opponent controls and destroy them, which is pretty cool. So, then we play 3 copies of Snow, Unlight of the Dark World. Her effect is if she's special discarded to the graveyard by your effect, you get to add a Dark World spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And if she's discarded to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, then you can add a Dark World card from your deck to your hand, then special summon that target, if any, in face-up defense. So, pretty good. Usually you're not going to get that second effect off. Usually you're just going to discard her and search. Then we play 3 copies of Beige. Beige's effect is that if he's discarded, then you get to special summon him. Brow, his effect is that if you discard him, then you get to draw an additional card, regardless if it's your opponent's or yours. Then you get to play 1 copy of Tour Guide of the Underworld to summon out your Brows to go into overlay plays. And then 1 of the newly put at 1 Morphing Jar that just breaks this deck so wide open that it's crazy, along with card destruction. Like, that is ridiculous that we get to play that in Dark Worlds again. So this card literally takes Dark Worlds and flips them on their head, and they're like, okay, you're broke again. Like, this deck can potentially, being a pure variant, can be tier 2. Like, totally tier 2, just pure. I see the Danger archetype with it, making it like probably a tier 1 deck, depending on what their support becomes. And I really hope they don't hit Dark Worlds because of that. I hope they hit the Dangers and not the Dark Worlds, because the Dark Worlds really didn't do anything wrong. It was the Dangers' fault. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spell and traps, and I'll show you what I'm playing there. So, Morphing Jar is limited. I cannot believe that, and I just got like 8 of these in the mail. I paid like $2 of these for them. It was crazy. And I already had like probably 5 laying around the house. So I have probably like 13 or 14 copies of these laying around the house now. I should make some money and sell those, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep them for deck profiles. So anyways, 1 copy of Monster Reborn because they were Reborn stuff. One copy of Card Destruction, because it is literally broken in this deck. Like, can you imagine if your opponent activates Card Destruction? They're going to scoop on principle just because they activated Card Destruction on Dark Worlds. Both players discard their entire hands and then draw the same number of cards from their deck. I cannot believe they put this at 1. I think it's going to end up being like Snatch Steal, that they're going to limit it for a format and then they're going to ban it again unless it makes no impact at all. I don't see it making a crazy impact, but it could. Then we play 1 copy of Foolish Burial to send Graf to the grave, so we can like get him abilities, so you can get like extra summons of him. Because like if you normal summon out like Beige after you Foolish Burial, you instantly get Graf on field. So then we play 3 copies of Gate of the Dark World. All fiend monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. Then once per turn, you can banish a fiend, discard a fiend, and then draw a card. So you have to banish, then you have to discard, then you have to draw. And then like it's really good because it's draw power. So we need that. Then we play 3 copies of Dark World Dealing. Each player draws a card and then discards a card. So really good there. 3 copies of Drag Down into the Grave. You look at your opponent's hand, your opponent looks at your hand, each one of you discards a card from either player's hand. Like, I get to grab a card out of your hand and discard it, you get to take a card out of my hand and discard it, and then you both draw a card. So, really good. Really control-based in this deck, because, like, if you can get all your cards set on the field and all you have left is Dark World, they have to pick a Dark World. But something to keep in mind is, that kind of sucks, is it's not by your opponent's card effect, so they don't get their added effect. They only get their original effect. So, kind of sucks and it's kind of great all at once. 3 copies of Allure of Darkness, because Allure is everything in the deck's dark except Morphing Jar, that's limited to 1 for some reason. And then 2 copies of Trade-In. Trade-In is just used for Graf to banish, like, or to discard him to the grave and get him in grave so you can get more draw power. Like, this deck has so much draw power. You know what I should do with Morphing Jar? I should totally make an Exodia deck with Morphing Jar. If you guys want to see that, comment down below and tell me if you want to see that. Like, Empty Jar Exodia. That sounds fun. Like, let's do that. That would probably work. So, anyways, that's it for all the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. This deck is pretty self-explanatory, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, a lot of it's just draw power and discarding. Draw power and discarding. Over and over and over again. So, then we play 1 copy of Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Tribute a 2,500 attack point or more monster. That's a dark. Then you get to check your opponent's hand and all set spell or trap cards for either spells or traps, whichever one you declare. Usually I call spells, not traps, unless I'm playing against Altergeist. Then I call traps. You get to destroy every single spell or every single trap. And then for 3 turns, you get to look at their hand and look at all their set cards and look at everything they draw, and they destroy every single spell, which is really good. Then we play 2 copies of Dark World Brainwashing. I took it down to 2. I really thought about putting it at 3 because of Card Destruction and Morphing Jar, but I'm only playing it 2. When an opponent's monster activates an effect, if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, except during the damage step, you can target a Dark World monster on the field, return it to the hand, then if you do, the activated effect becomes discard 1 card from your opponent's hand. So, like, if they try and hand trap you and you have Dark World Brainwashing and you chain Brainwashing to it, and then their effect becomes you have to discard a card, and it's by your opponent's card effect that it does that, so you get the second effect of your Dark World card, which is really good, and I absolutely love the artwork of it because it explains the Twilight Sworns for that reason. Then I play 3 copies of Mind Crush because it's always been good to play Mind Crush in Dark World. You declare a card name, and then if it's in your opponent's hand, discard it. If it's not, then you can you have to discard a card randomly. But if you only have Dark World in your hand, you benefit off of this anyways. And Mind Crush is such an intellectual card. Like, if you know, like I do, since I make so many deck profiles, every single deck inside and out, and you know how it plays, and you see somebody search something, and you know what to hit, because it's like, oh, I wouldn't want that hit if I was playing that deck. And you activate Mind Crush, and you're like, oh, I call, I don't know, Elemental Hero Solid Man. And I hit Solid Man, and now I know they can't summon that Shadow Mist that's in their hand. Or I hit, like, for Boojins. I know Boojins aren't as much. But you hit Yamato, like back in the day. Or if you're playing, like, I don't know, I got Spellbook sitting right beside me. You call Blue Boy. Well, you couldn't say Blue Boy, but you'd have to say, like, Spellbook Magician. and it hits that blue boy in their hand, and they're like, well, I have literally nothing to summon now. My hand is bricked, and I'm going to lose now because you just hit my one powerful card. So multiple Mind Crush is like crazy. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. The extra deck is not quite as needed. Like, this is a deck that probably Pot of what's it called? Pot of Indulgence could be used in, because you don't really need the extra deck all that much. So first off, we're going to be playing one copy of Hope Harboring Dragon Titanic Galaxy, because Grapha is a level 8, and we can make it into 8 spells. One copy of number 22 Zombie Sign. It's a big 45 beat stick, and sometimes you need a big 45 beat stick to win a game, so we make it. One Heretic Sun Dragon, Overlord of Heliopolis. I really want the Link monster for this to come out. Like, I really do, so I can do something with that deck. Then once per turn, you can detach material from it. Tribute monsters in your hand or your side of the field equal to the number of cards you want to destroy, and then destroy the cards on the field, which is really good. Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand. Sometimes you need the immunity, so we play Felgrand. One Lancelot, because Lancelot, is just good. You can swing at your opponent and then directly with him for 2k, and then you can also, like, after you swing at them, you get to target a face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And then once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach a material from this. And then when a spell trap is activated or monster effect is activated, detach material and negate the activation, which is really cool. So it protects you from, like, hand traps from, like, Ash Blossom when they're attacking, or when you're activating, like, a draw card or something. It's, like, really important. Leviair, because you banish a lot with gates. And the Phantom Knights of Break Swords, because you need to pop. Gumblar, because it helps you discard for fodder. So, like, Gumblar is, like, a no-brainer for this. Borreload, because you can make it with, like, bunches of Graphas and stuff, and you might need it. Nightmare Unicorn, because it's Unicorn. Cerberus, because it's Cerberus, and Phoenix, because it's Phoenix. Summon Sorceress, because it's, Summon Sorceress. You get to summon a Fiend monster from your deck. Like, why not? And then 2 copy of Wee Witch Apprentice, because if you can make, like, 2 of these, it makes, with gates on field, and 2 of these, it makes Grapha go up to 4k, which is nuts. Just summoning 4k beat sticks over and over and over again just to swing at your opponent is just mind-blowing to me. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed taking this one. It's a very self-explanatory deck. If you guys want to build the Danger variant, be my guest, but I like this variant because it's, like, old school, and I don't want to drop $35 a Bigfoot and, like, $30 per Nessie, or $27, something like that, per Nessie. So I like the pure variant. It's pretty cheap to build the pure variant last time I checked, for commons and stuff. So anyways, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell down there so you can come and part of the notification squad. And if you are a part of the notification squad, comment down below. Tell me what you guys would like to see in another video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you around, guys.